Hi, everybody. Tim Hughes here. I'm the CEO and co-founder of DLA Ignite. Today, I've got Mau Espinosa with me, and we're going to be talking about his new book, Let It Happen: How to Deal Successfully with Change Through Logic, Emotion, and Tactics. Mau, so thank you so much for coming in today. Where can people find you?
Different sites. You can find me at LinkedIn under Mau.Espinosa. You can find me on Instagram as Mau.Espinosa.coach, Facebook, on our website at mauespinosa.net. I'm everywhere. It's easy to find me.
I know when I've Googled you, it's not been a problem of finding you. Excellent, thank you, and love the book. It's partly autobiographical, isn't it?
A little bit, yeah. Has a little bit of that.
Has a little bit of your story, and you have and you've lived a number of lives, which has been interesting. So, in terms of the first question, you argue that change isn't the problem or our reaction to it. What do most leaders get wrong about change before they even try to manage it?
I think the biggest thing with change is that we think change is an event, while change is really a human experience. Change is something that happened with us, and a lot of the times when change presents into the company or into your own life, because we want to feel secure, because we kind of feel certainty in it, we try to find a solution right away for the event instead of understanding that the first thing that change threats is our own identity. And the moment we start understanding that, it's a lot easier to move forward. So when we talk about change, and the book, I said this is a book of change, but in reality, it's a book of leadership.
Yeah.
Because you cannot have change without leadership. Leadership is going to be the tool that is going to get you through it. Personal leadership, those moments that you need that inner strength to go through, that's the identity that you're looking for. So for me, that's the biggest part, that we think that change is something external when in reality is something internal.
The book is built around your three-letter acronym, LET, which is logic, emotion, and tactics.
Yes.
Why was it important for you to bring emotion into the same conversation as logic and execution?
Let's start with emotions is something that defines us as human beings. Okay. Now, if we look at emotions on a different way, and let's just think about this. Emotion is not that you're soft. Emotion is actually a lot of data that we can utilize to rebuild our strategies, our tactics, our way to go in life. Okay, so it's data such as resistance, such as cynicism, such as passive compliance. So there's a lot of things that the emotion can bring us into our daily lives. In chapter 2, I think it's chapter 12 that I talk about emotions. I go very quick, but there's a very nice analogy about emotions at the beginning of the book, which is very simple. And the reason I made it simple was to make it where everybody can relate to. And it is the one that
Tell us the analogy. Tell us the analogy.
That's the one that I'm talking about, going to the gym.
Yeah.
Right? And trying to go to the gym, and you try to go, and something happens there because you keep going, and then until you hire somebody, and then you feel a lot better.
So, and I agree with you. I think emotion. I think it's emotion is the human element, isn't it? You can't solve things by having just thinking through things logically. Life isn't linear, isn't it?
It is not, and the biggest resistance we always have is our emotions. How many times have you gone like, okay, this makes sense, but why I cannot do it? And that's the emotion that is protecting you. So you probably are scared. Most of the times we're scared. And if we don't go through that process of fear into acknowledgement of that emotion, the moment you acknowledge the emotion, it sets you free to create something. So we talk about that fear, acknowledgement, creation, and growth. And that's part of it. I need to accept where I am with my emotions, even in simple things as problems in our household, with a discussion with our spouse or our kids or something, that it's time to say, okay, logically, yes, I was wrong. I need to apologize. So why is it taking you so long to do it?
Mm.
Right? It's the emotion that is stopping you for something. So
Yeah.
once we acknowledge that, it's a lot easier to move forward and to grow.
Yeah. Many organizations design change programs that look perfect on paper but fail in reality. Where does logic usually break down when people enter the equation?
I think, let's start with this. I think a lot of companies and a lot of leaders really confuse clarity with alignment. Okay, let's start with that part. I think that's something that we think that because we put things very nicely on a PowerPoint and we're telling people how to do it, we understand that change doesn't happen unless performance change,
Yep.
unless behavior change. So if I'm not talking about how I'm expecting the behavior to change in the company, then change is not going to happen. That's one of the biggest things that we have. I have seen many companies that have amazing strategies. They really have like everything they need to do, but they don't take in consideration their people and how their people are going to actually buy into the change. What are the benefits for them to do the change? How do we bring that into the equation? When we confuse logic with persuasion, that does not create change of behavior, right? So I think because I have all these great ideas, so I'm just going to tell them that they have to do it, and I go around many ways of doing it. It doesn't change. Actually, it starts creating more resistance, and the more I push, the more resistance I get. So I need to find the narrative that creates a meaning for the people, and it's not just the direction that I want to give them. So when people see themselves in the change, as part of the change, they will feel a lot easier to move through it. So that for me is the biggest part on this question that you put it on the table, right? Is it something that we really need to clarify, or is something that we need to align with everybody?
So resistance to change is often labeled as negativity or fear. What's really happening emotionally when people resist change, and how should leaders respond differently?
Well, I don't think people are necessarily resisting to change. They are resisting to the unknown. So it's not that I don't want to change, it's that I don't understand why I need to change, what's coming after. So we have to understand that with change, since it's a personal factor, we already established that this behavior, that change is personal, that change is internal, that is not an event. So there's a lot of fear because I don't know what's going to happen if I do that.
Yep.
The moment I clarify that, the moment I align that with them, the moment I show them what's on the other side of the door, it creates a different scenario. And I said that also in the book in another part where I go like, it's different to come to the room and say, hey, I want a 175% efficiency because that's a new KPI, rather than come and say, hey, how would you like to earn 60% more?
Yeah.
Oh, I would like to earn 60% more. Okay, this is what we're going to do. Now, I already showed them the end of the road, right? You're gonna be able to make more money. But to do that, we need to go from here to 175% efficiency. Now we're all part of the change. Now we're all combining our desire to get to success.
You talk about letting it happen rather than fighting change. How do leaders balance acceptance and accountability in performance?
Let's just stop fighting reality. Things are moving. Let's start with working with things. Uh, Accountability, acknowledgement, which comes first? You know, so we need to start thinking about this. Um, Let it happen is not just about sitting and see what's going to happen. It's about to understand that there's something inside you that you know is about to happen, and you're not allowing it, and you're resisting it. So let it happen is to allow everything that you already know that you can be and that you can do and your company can do, but you're not allowing it to happen because either we're not creating the right structure, either because we're not aligning the way we should be aligning, because we're not communicating the way we're communicating, and most important, because we're not believing in that as a good result for us. So when I talk about let it happen is it already exists within you, it already exists within your organization. What you need to do to let that happen, how can you just create that switch in your company, in your person, to allow that to happen? And a lot of times, I'm going to go back to fear. A lot of times it's fear, the fear of the unknown. Clarify it, align it, and you're going to see how that's going to start moving forward for sure.
From your experience, what's the biggest emotional mistake leaders make during times of transformation?
Well, that's a great question. That is a great question, Tim. Because I think it's pretending that they're not affected, right? Is leading from an armor. It's like, okay, they need to see me that I'm strong. And then we confuse what strong means.
Yep.
Strong means that you are emotionally affected and that you're willing to go with them in the same battlefield, so to speak, right? Uh, so for me, that's one of the biggest mistakes when people see you that you actually are vulnerable, and with that you're actually taking charge of it. That's inspiring. That is inspiring. Uh, so in the book, you probably already went through it, but I talk about these four characters that I really have created a lot of my personality around it.
Yep.
I think everybody creates their personality about people, whether it's your grandfather or your father, and we have a little bit of everybody. And I talk about Holmes and Bond and Batman and Einstein. And the reason I go through those ones is because of this part. If you see them when they have actually in these moments of resilience, or in these moments of threats, or in these moments where are challenged, the way they react to them are just completely different and unique, each one of them. Whilst one is more precise in what he needs to do, the other one is more thoughtful, and the other one is more into the emotional part of what's going to happen. So I think that creates that balance on a person that understands that, number one, we're humans. We cannot take that away of the equation ever. And the more we understand that the emotional armor actually blocks everything that we try to do, then that creates a very slow path for us. So just be who you are, and understand the moments that you're in, and move with it.
So we've had a comment from Chris Early, which says pretending that they are not affected is such a good point. So thanks for that, Chris.
Yeah.
Can you share a real world example where applying the LET framework completely shifted the outcome of the change initiative?
I can tell. I mean, the first one that when I get this question, I always think about COVID because the way I reacted to it. And when COVID came, it was so fast, so hard, so strong that a lot of people didn't know what to do. There was a lot of fear everywhere in the world. I remember flying into Houston and landing in Houston that last weekend before they closed, and it was deserted, that airport. And it's an airport that flies millions of people a day. It was deserted. It was scary, alone. And that's when it really hit me. Emotionally, really hit me. Before that, it was all logic. It was all, and I knew the moment it hit me, I knew I have to create something fast, really fast. So it was not a strategy, and that's what I call it tactics, because tactics are actions, concrete actions, actions with a meaning, right? The strategy just tells you everything that you need to do. So I remember at that point, I said, I need to call to all my clients. And when you said I need to call, the easiest way is, okay, I just need to send a WhatsApp message to everybody.
Yep.
Right? And I didn't. I actually made personal messages to each one of them, just offering a solid platform. And that created a lot of growth in my company. A lot of people felt just secure, the ones that were with me. Now, if I take this one outside of my own experience and I take it into different companies, we have a company right now here in Mexico City. I am sitting in Mexico City today, where they do have their LED meetings every Monday. And we just have one this last Monday, yesterday. And I was there just to observe how they were doing the LED. And it's very interesting how they start all Monday meetings in this company. It's about 600 people organization. And they have the meeting in all different levels. And it's always the LED meeting. And what they do is they go first with the logic. Okay, what are our KPIs? Where are we? How are we standing? And next one, they go like, how's our people feeling on that? What do we need to change in our narrative to make people get back into where they need to be? How are they coming from this weekend? We're starting the week. What's important in this week? What's the important part? How can we really tap into the behavior? Number 3, what are the tactics, the actions with purpose that we need this week? I don't care about the rest of the month, this week. And every Monday they go through that. And I was talking to the owner of this corporation, and he says, Mau, since we start with our LED meetings on Mondays, our results have changed tremendously. So simple, 45 minutes, and he just aligned everybody.
Fantastic. Really good example, Mal. That's just fantastic. Tactically, leaders are under pressure to do something quickly. What are the first practical actions leaders can take when major change is announced?
The first one is to not panic. Let's start with that. First one is start not to panic. I think a lot of times we just try to get solutions right away, and it's not about how fast we offer a solution. It's how steady the solution can be.
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of times sometimes slower is better, especially when we're hitting that hard. So that will be one of the parts. We need to understand that the first part that attacks is not the logic, is not the tactics. Again, is the emotion. How is this affecting us? And let's go deep into the emotional part. Once we hit that part, then let's look at the logic to create the tactics.
Yeah. Excellent. How can leaders use the LET framework to support themselves, not just their teams, when they're dealing with uncertainty and pressure?
I think the framework is a very simple, in my opinion, a very simple, easy to follow. You have logic, which is all your KPIs, everything that you know, everything that you can explain and tell people, right? Then you have the emotions. The emotions is probably the hardest part, because you have to accept that there's There can be fear, there can be happiness, there can be excitement, there can be boredom. All these kind of emotions are allowed. So what it excites you, it might not excite the rest of the team. And the problem with that is that many times we become stubborn, right? We become with that idea that because it's good for me, therefore it's good for everybody.
Yeah.
And many times it's not the case. And so understanding the behavior, understanding the performance creates the real basic tactics that we need to follow. Short-term goals. Short-term goals are probably one of my favorite tools to follow. I stopped doing long-term goals a long time ago. I have a vision, and I establish short-term goals to make sure that I'm following that vision.
Mau Espinosa, thank you so much for coming on and talking about your book, Let It Happen, How to Deal Successfully with Change Through Logic, Emotion and Tactics. If I wanted to buy a copy of this, where can I get one from?
Easiest way, Amazon. But there is in many places. And you can also go to letithappen.net and you will find all the links to buy it. And you will find also a lot of articles that I have wrote around Let It Happen and many other tools.
There's also a Spanish edition, isn't there?
English and Spanish, both of them.
English and Spanish, yes.
Yes.
And where can people find you?
They can find me on letithappen.net. They can find me on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, all social mediums I'm available. And if you Google Mau Espinosa, Let It Happen, I'm going to come right on top.
You will do.